Well, good evening, everybody. We are live with Dr. Steve Perry, who you can see is working. He is working, and we have this awesome interview tonight. We're so excited. How you doing, Dr. Perry?
Fantastic. Really. Couldn't be better. Had a great day at work. Just getting out. What hour am I on? I started around 3:30. So, what's that, 19 hours and counting?
No, where are you at right now? You're not in Connecticut.
I am in Connecticut. So I started my day in Connecticut. Then I went from where I lived to 90 minutes south to Harlem, which is where our school is. Well, first I went to our school in Connecticut. Then I went to our school in Harlem, which is 90 minutes away. I came back to our school in Connecticut. And then I went to a meeting an hour north. So I'm headed home to see my family.
Okay. Yes, I know you have two sons, right?
I do. They're at home painting sneakers right now.
Okay. Well, let
That's
me.
do when you grow up in the suburbs. Your father buys you sneakers and you paint them.
Is that the new fad?
Apparently, because when I had a pair of sneakers, I was doing everything I could to keep them white.
I know that's right. Well, my kids are so far from that, but I do have grandkids. Maybe I'll get to experience some of that. But I want to say congratulations, first of all, on your new school in Harlem. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's really exciting. About almost 6 years ago, I met Sean P. Diddy Combs at an engagement party. Go figure, right? First and only one I've ever been to. And I'm walking out, and we see each other and greet each other. And of course, I introduced myself to him because, I don't. And he says he knew who I was, and introduced himself to me. And I'm like, really? And so he said, can I tell you something? I said, sure. He said, I've always wanted to open a school. Nobody knows that, though. I said, well, cool. Good luck with that. And he said, no. I think that you and I should open a school together. I'm like, I'm good, man. I have a school, and I want to run my one school in Hartford, and that's it. So for years, he and I would talk, and he would say, yo, what's going on with my school? And the issue wasn't that I thought that he was the issue. It was just I just wasn't there. I just wanted to run one school. And as you know, God is not patient. And so he said, oh, you want to stay small, huh? They made running that one school so uncomfortable, this God, not Combs. And that it came time that I couldn't comfortably accept that I was going to only run one school. It went from wanting to only run one to thinking I'm only running one. So Puffs was serious. I was serious. We came together. We put our team together. And here we are with our first 6th and 7th grade class in Harlem, USA.
That is so awesome. Awesome. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. One of the things, and I raised my children as a single mother, and I just want to ask you, what can mothers do best to support their children, especially their sons, in any educational system?
So it starts with high expectations. One of the biggest mistakes that moms make with their sons is they lower their expectations because they act as if their son is victimized by everybody. And I get why, because there are systems in place to make sure, especially Black, Latino, and poor children don't benefit from the blessing. But there's another way to respond to that. You increase the expectations. Because you know life is going to be tough for them, you increase the expectation. Because you know systems are set against them, you increase the expectations. And what that means is that it starts young. Every child has chores. As soon as they can stand upright, they need to be able to clean something. So your 2-year-old can pick up his toy,
Exactly.
and then as they grow, so should their contribution to the house. Because you're essentially training them to take on the world at large, that they need to understand that the chips are stacked against them. And then structure, create a system of organization. And in many cases, moms who are doing it by themselves get so caught up, for obvious reasons, in the belief that they have to do it all themselves. But there are going to be some brothers in particular who work hard. They're your son's AAU coach, a Little League coach, a football coach. And you got to make it easier for people to help you. You can't be the person who nobody wants to work with. And there's so many times that there are sisters that I've seen people just say, you know what, you got this. You know so daggone much. Figure this out yourself. And so set high expectations, give them chores as soon as they can, put in place a structure, and recognize that you need help. You need help. Doing it by yourself is a lot. Doesn't mean it can't be done. It just means it shouldn't. And if you can get help, take it.
That's really good advice. One of the things that I pride myself on as being a single mother is what I did was I surrounded my son with positive black men doing stuff. Is that what when you say get help, is that what you mean?
It is, but let me expand that. I want you to surround him with positive people. Because everybody doesn't always have a brother who's willing to do what she needs to do, and what he needs to do in order to help out. It's just the way it is. I wish it was different, but it ain't. So because it's not different, we gotta, when they say you gotta love the one you're with. And what that means to me is that you gotta create opportunities for your kid to be connected to people who want to live right, regardless of their hue. And in many cases, regardless of their gender. It may be an aunt who's about that life. She's doing all she can do to support you. So let her do what she's got to do.
Okay. Do you believe that a lot of single mothers are enablers for, I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it, sorry, men?
Yep, I do. I think it's not just single mothers. I think a lot of moms, especially modern moms, are lost. They feel like they have to lower the bar. They feel like they have to guarantee their child's success by making sure that they change the rules to what they believe their child's limitations are. And I see too many lose because of that. I see too many boys who are sorry, just straight sorry. And they spend their lives saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And they really are. But they're not apologizing, though.
And is that because mothers are too soft? I was really a tough love mom. My son, I wish he would come on now so he could tell you. But are the mothers just too soft?
Nobody wants to be the villain all the time. And so when you're raising a child by yourself, it's very easy to say, I don't want to come home and fight with my son this weekend. So he said he ain't got no homework. He ain't got no homework. I'm not going to look. I'm not going to press him. He doesn't have it. He doesn't have it. If he does, we'll deal with that later. I want to get along with him. And a lot of our mothers who are doing it by themselves find themselves dating their sons. It's a really strange thing. But the boy stays in the bed. They consult him on important decisions. They do a lot of things that they just don't need to do. Wow.
And then I've heard mothers tell their sons, you're the man of the house. Is that fair?
No. You can't be the man of the house when you've never even been the teenager of the house. And you can't be the man of the house unless your name is on a lease. If your name is on a lease, you are a guest in the house.
Wow. What is the single most important message a parent should expect from their child's school?
I think one of the most important messages that a child can get from the school is that he works hard. He and she, that he works hard. You want a child who, like they used to say, works hard in mind, right? Listens to people who are trying to help him or her.
Okay. And so if a child is in a school, and one of the things that I've noticed in the public schools, and maybe it's me, a lot of them it seems like they try to brand our kids. They want to keep them in a little box. Is that a fair statement?
That's a fact. Black children in general, black boys in particular, are the most likely to be labeled as special ed. And it's not uncommon for me to get a student who's been labeled special ed. He might be low, meaning he may not read on grade level, which is more likely than not. He may not do math on grade level, which is much more likely than not. But beyond that, he doesn't have any intellectual disabilities or behavioral issues that couldn't be corrected in a setting where he has effective instruction.
So what can we? I mean, if our kids are in public schools, what can we? Because they tried to say that with my daughter. They tried to say she had ADD, which I didn't. I rejected, and she didn't. She ended up an honor roll student. But if I had bought into that, she'd have been stuck in that cycle. What is it that we have to question it, right?
We do, and so here's the challenge that I have, because I'm on both sides of this, if I'm being real. I'm an advocate for parents' rights, which means I want parents to question the system. On the same token, I work in schools, and I've seen people come in and they're just combative. I mean, I don't even want to say it. They're just combative, and you can't help them. You can't help somebody who comes in and they just know everything and they want to fuss and fight. And I mean fight. I'm not talking about metaphorically fighting. And so I recently met with a mom, and she came in. She sent an email, and it basically said, "I'm going to call the media. I'm going to call the state. I'm going to call the city. Until we sat down, I said, sis, we're going to have a relationship. I give you that. But you ain't going to send me emails talking about who you don't threaten me. Like, well, how is that helping anybody? How is that helping anybody? If you cannot send me an email without threats, don't send me an email. I can guarantee you nobody on my staff is going to send you such an email. Imagine if we did that to you, I said. Imagine if we sent you an email saying, if you don't take better care of your child, get his grades up, we're going to contact the Department of Children and Family Services. We're going to call the local newspaper. We're going to call CNN, CBS, ABC, and then we're going to write blogs about you. I mean, do you want that?
Wow.
That's not necessary. It's not necessary. So the trouble I find is that there's been so much badness that has happened. I mean, so much that people don't trust the schools. And so then here I come saying, no, I'm different. We don't do it like them. And they're like, man, please get out of my face. You work in a school, you do kids dirty. So I got to eat that. I got to somehow work through the very system. I have to work to get people to have a better impression of the very system I spend every single day fighting against.
Well, I really do admire your standards. I mean, anybody that can look you up and look at the school. I love seeing you drive the school bus and the way they dress, and you with the bow ties. To me, that is so important. To start our kids, dressing decently. So I applaud you. I think it's great. You and Dr. Underwood, you prove that our kids can do well. So I think it's a great thing, and I think we need to duplicate it all across the country. And I know that you're on your tour, which we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. But can you explain the importance of school choice, charter, magnet, vouchers?
It's the only way we're going to get out of this bad situation we find ourselves in. in the first time since Reconstruction, black people are actually in a position to open schools in a real way. We're not talking about just Marva Collins who opened a small classroom and was able to do what she was able to do with a small group of kids. Small, not to diss her, but just to say it just wasn't a lot of kids. And when she wasn't alive, it was hard to maintain that school because she was the lightning rod in it. I'm talking about schools that have 700-800 kids, 1,000 kids. That's charter schools that we can finally open. And then if we can give vouchers, which is what I'm really focusing on, which is to be able to take money and use it for parents to be able to decide what school works best for their kids, then we're really going to be able to get it done. That's what the real issue is. We need vouchers. So school choice is the only way we're going to get this thing done.
How does this voucher system work?
Just like Medicaid, Medicare, Section 8, just like a student loan, just like GI Bill, just like food stamps, just like aid to families with dependent children, or whatever it's now called. All those things are vouchers. Public money used for private goods and services, or public money used for public goods and services. These are systems that we've had in place for generations, and they've worked. So that's what I'm for. A scholarship is basically what it is. Your child, let's say in North Carolina, in Greensboro, where you live, let's say that they receive $7,500 per child. Well, if because of your tax contributions to the local economy, $7,500 goes into the local education system. Well, your son and daughter should be able to take their $7,500 and go to whatever school works for them. It could be that school that they're zoned for. It could be a charter school. It could be a traditional school in another district. It could be a private school. It could be a parochial school. Your pastor could open his or her own schools. All of those things could happen with vouchers. We need scholarships in order to move our community forward.
So you're saying the parent has a choice because they're a taxpayer to decide?
Yep, that's exactly it. What I'm saying is the best way for us to be able to move the community forward is to give children access to a quality education. And the only way to do that is through a combination of school choice options. That's vouchers, charters, magnets, traditional schools, vocational technical schools, online schools, home schools, private prep schools, parochial schools, and some derivative thereof. Some of those online schools, all of it. We know all of that so you can fix this thing.
So do we have to, this is coming through the government?
Well, the government is us. So yes. So when we pay taxes, they go to someone. We give it to a group of people who we call the government. They're our employees who we ask them to hold our money and to provide certain goods and services to us. So yes. The same place it goes to now. The government is you could decide to send your child to a government school, which is a traditional school, or you could decide to send your child to a school that is run by people who you know.
So
most people don't know or live with the people who run their traditional schools. They don't even know those people.
So how do they go about requesting that?
Well, we first have to get a law passed in North Carolina that would allow you to have them.
Okay.
Which, to my knowledge, you don't have one.
All right. So we've got to come together and work on that. Okay. Know a lot of politicians. I think we can get that done.
There you go.
And so you have a book called Man Up, Nobody's Coming to Save Us.
Mm-hmm.
It's a guide for mothers. Talk a little bit about that.
What Man Up does is it's a call to action for the black community to say, if you thought that somebody was going to come in, white liberals or the Republican Party or somebody else will come in to handle what really are our issues, you're dead wrong. This one's on us. We got to take full responsibility for the stuff that we've done. Not for everything that's happened to us, but for the things that we've done. And that's what Man Up talks about.
Give me an example.
So the first line in the first chapter is, kick your grown-ass son out of the house. Snatch the football comforter off. Drag him out of his pea-stained twin bed. Usher him through the living room where he took his his prom pictures, past the Little League trophies, and throw him onto the stoop that you still have to beg him to shovel when it snows.
Wow. Okay.
And I am 100% on the grown boy. Cause see, I told my son when he decided he wasn't no longer going to college, I said you better have a backup plan. Cause
Yeah, man.
guess what? Mom's not taking care of any grown men, and that's what he did. He made it work. He started his own business and been married for 15 years and 2 kids. And because I mean, like you say, we're the enablers by letting them stay there and live off of us. We're part of the problem for sure. The educational tour, that's exciting. 70 cities. Talk about that.
Well, it's actually almost 80 now. I have the opportunity to travel this great country of ours and meet amazing people. And I've spoken at small schools. I've spoken at churches. Corporations. I speak at universities. Everywhere. Urban leagues, from white organizations to black organizations. All the above. About this passion that we have for our kids.
That's awesome. I was looking at a video that you did earlier about your father. You and another gentleman it was on Oprah's show, and that was very touching for me. When you said that you felt bad that your mother had to make excuses. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I mean, you are a success story.
Yes, I am. Yeah. But a success story is never the result of one person. And so I'm a success story in relation to our community and how our community can come together to support people who it doesn't seem like are supposed to win. So, yeah, to that extent, I am a representation of a team effort. That's my mother, my aunt, my grandmother, my grandfather, not my father. Though I know who he is. He's had no impact at all in a positive way on anything that we've done. Period. He would say he has, but he's bugging.
Well, that's what I mean, because a lot of our young men are growing up without their fathers, and they're bitter and they're angry, and they carry that forever. What can you say to them? Because you did it. My son did it, made it. And so what do you say to them to keep them from getting discouraged?
I say that the ties that bind you could be the bungee cords that propel you. Don't walk around letting somebody who you don't even know mess with your head. I mean, why give up? If anything, bust your behind so that you get out there and work and get it done so well that when he finds out about you, he thinks to himself, my God, what did I do? Why didn't I stay in this kid's life? I messed up. You did. You're right.
And that's funny that you would say that, because I know my son, he played football and of course he was pretty good with football and basketball, and when his name was in the paper, his dad all wanted to say, that's my son, and he basically said, I have no use for you now. You weren't there, so I'm good. So it can be done. Your success. Now, are you biracial?
Yep.
So that was another challenge, was it?
Not for me. I'm black.
I'm not fooling with you tonight, Steve.
What am I supposed to do with that?
But I meant in school you didn't get no.
Everybody gets picked on for something, and when you can fight, you don't have to worry about such stuff.
Okay, so what about the bullying in the schools? Now that is real, right?
It is, but it's not in that since they've been kids. There's always going to be groups of kids. I mean, that's what the whole book Lord is about. It's about some kids bullying other kids.
So
it's been going on for as long as they've been children. Watch Charlie Brown. They bully him. The whole thing is about them bullying him. They make light of it, but they clown him as from the time he wakes up to the time he goes to bed.
Well, you can't just say tough love, Dr. Perry, because
no.
You can't because see what I'm finding now, and actually I brought Dr. Nikisha Hammond, who I know you know. I brought her here because I do a lot around mental illness, and a lot of our kids are suffering from depression and mental illness. How do you deal with that?
You just have to deal with it head on. You have to get them the support that they need because they deserve it. Some of it's talk therapy, some of it's medication, and some combination thereof. But any love that you have is tough, and it doesn't have to be tough in an aggressive, negative sense. But to be in love is to be tough. Is to do something that's tough.
But isn't that putting an extra strain on the teachers having to deal with children with mental illness? That's what I'm hearing.
Nope. There's always been kids with mental illness. I mean, this generation didn't invent mental illness.
Okay. All right. Well, is there anything that the parents need to be aware and make sure that they're getting their medication, right?
Yeah, they need to do that. They need to work to make sure that they've done all they can do to support their child and put them in the best setting that they can. But ultimately, they need to, as a child gets older, he needs to be responsible and take their medication. Mental illness is no different than cancer. It could kill you if it creeps up on you. If treated early enough, there are many forms of mental illness that can be managed. Same way with cancer.
Well, this is really great. If someone wants to, that we have a lot of listeners, and this will stay pinned to our page. If someone wants you to come to their city, because I saw that someone typed that they needed you in Atlanta, how would they go about reaching out to you?
They would go right to our Twitter page, and they go to Dr. Steve Perry, and they get me right there. That's really me.
Now, I know that's you because that's how we connect.
That's right.
But so they can just send you a tweet that they want you to the area, and then you'll hook them up with your publicist and make that happen. Well, this is great. I know you got to get into the babies, and I
do.
I
see him looking out the window like, what is this dude doing?
I know, right? I thank you so much for joining us. We got to have you back on again. We'll do this again. Thank you so much, and I will. We'll keep working until we make this happen together. We can do this.
Take care.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.